Don't forget you can follow us on our other social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram or Strava. That was the wrong way round. Instagram, Facebook or Strava. For I dare say you'd really enjoy liking it. Liking it? Welcome back folks, I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run for Adventure. We are back today with our 4th shoe review already of this year, so we are definitely sticking to our shoe review promise. I have to say the brand that we are talking about in today's video is actually a brand that's never really worked for me. So when Inov-8 reached out to the channel and asked if we wanted to test and review their Terraultra G70, I wasn't sure whether to take a pair or not. I've always wanted the channel to be a super positive place where viewers can come along and get inspired to continue their journey or to start their running journey and to push boundaries and achieve things they thought weren't possible. So I tend to choose shoes that I think I'm going to like and enjoy and that are going to work for me when it comes to my running. Obviously, I'm very aware of the shoe and how popular this shoe is within the running community. This is hands down the most requested shoe for me to test and review at the channel, and that's one of the main reasons why in the end I said yes, and here we are. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this review and let's give you a few facts and figures on the Terraultra G70 from Inov-8. The shoe retails in the UK at £145 and it is a zero drop shoe, so you've literally got 12mm under your heel and 12mm under your forefoot. When it comes to weight, in a men's UK 9.5 it weighs in at 299 grams, and in a women's shoe it is 270 grams. It is available in 3 different colorways for men and for women. The outsole is clad in Inov-8's graphene grip and it has a 4mm lug depth with a multi-directional pattern. And when it comes down to fit of the shoe, I was actually sent a UK 9.5 in the new orange colorway to start with, which was way too small. So I got resent a UK 10, which fits like a glove now. So I would say it sizes up a bit on the small size with good volume in the toe box. Moving on to the construction of the shoe, and Inov-8 have used this breathable mesh construction in the upper to wick sweat, protect the foot whilst being incredibly lightweight. We've also got some added overlays around the midfoot of the shoe for increased stability, support and durability, so that you feel super confident whilst running in uneven, tough and technical terrain. The upper also has a very thin, lightweight tongue that shapes to the top of your foot to give you that nice lockdown feel around your midfoot, whilst having a nice wide and deep toe box to allow for natural splay, but it also allows for the feet to swell as the temperature rises, especially over longer distance. And then completing the upper is a lacing system that locks down around that midfoot to give you a nice hold to reduce any in-shoe slippage as you build up the miles. Working down to the midsole of the shoe, and it is constructed using Inov-8's PowerFlow Max cushioning, offering high levels of comfort but without compromising on ground feel. On top of that midsole you get Inov-8's very clever boomerang footbed. I don't know whether you can see that, but this is designed to offer higher levels of cushioning to put a spring in your step with 40% more rebound to ensure a responsive ride. When it comes to the outsole of the shoe, it's probably what the Terraultra G270 is best known for, and it is clad in Inov-8's graphene grip, which is 50% stronger, 50% more elastic and 50% more hard wearing to create that all-round trail running experience. So that's a bit about the spec of the shoe and a quick breakdown of the features of the Terraultra G270. We've got a good 30 miles in the shoe on a big mixture of terrains, so let's talk you through some of the things we've really liked about the shoe and maybe a couple of the things we feel could be improved when it comes to this trail running shoe from Inov-8. So definitely the first thing we need to talk about is the outsole on this shoe and the level of traction that I got from this very much hyped graphene grip technology. I've worked out over the years that Inov-8 are one of them brands that are brilliant at creating hype when they're bringing out new products to the market, but if I'm honest, I have been a little bit disappointed in that hype in the past when it comes to some of their shoes and some of the kit that they've produced. I've always felt a little bit let down when it comes to the hype. So what do I think about this graphene grip technology? Well, it's good, It's really good. I've run the G270 over a big mixture of terrains from thick mud, wet rock, tarmac, soft sand, and the level of traction from this outsole has been great on all surfaces. When it comes to wet rock and wet tarmac, it has been outstanding. The graphene grip technology does exactly what Inov-8 says it does. It offers a great level of traction on multi-surfaces. I wasn't convinced by the depth of this lug and the layout of this pattern that it was going to perform particularly well in muddy conditions, but it actually handled them really well. Where that grip excels is definitely rock, wet rock, tarmac conditions. The performance is mightily impressive, and when it comes to grip, it is up there with the best of them. The next standout for me when it comes to this shoe, and this is where this shoe felt very different from other Inov-8 shoes that I've run in the past, was the level of cushioning and comfort I got from this Powerflow Max midsole. Previously for me, I've always found Inov-8 shoes a little bit too stripped back and a little bit too aggressive when it comes down to sort of midsole cushioning. I've found over the years that I do need a bit of comfort from cushioning in my shoes, especially if I'm doing a long training run or running an ultra race. This midsole definitely offered the level of cushioning I tend to look for in my trail running shoes, but it also delivered a really good connection to the trails underfoot. So you put them two things together, you feel comfortable, but you still feel very confident on your foot strike when you're running in technical trails. I also think this clever boomerang footbed has a big part to play in that, because if you actually push into this midsole compound, it doesn't actually feel that soft. But then when you take a closer look at that insole, you can see why the shoe feels so plush underfoot. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to be bouncing along the trails like you would be in, say, a Hoka Speedgoat, but the shoe offers a really comfortable ride and that perfect balance between cushioning and ground contact. Next up is fit of the shoe, and this is the area where I've probably struggled the most in the past when it comes to Inov-8 running shoes. I've always found them a bit wide, a bit too deep for my foot shape, and I've found it really hard to get that sort of precise lockdown around the midfoot, so I've tended to have a bit of lateral movement, and this is something that we always try and avoid in our trail running shoes. But I've found the overall fit of the shoe to be really good. My heel felt really well held and locked down in the back end of the shoe, so no movement, no slippage at any time at all. Also a very nice precise fit around that midfoot, so I felt really dialed in and locked into that midfoot of the shoe. And then this lace locking system has worked really well. I've had this happen quite a lot in my running shoes, especially my trail running shoes where you're running on uneven terrain most of the time. Them laces can start to work loose and you start to lose that specific hold around your midfoot, and you start to get a bit of lateral movement in the shoe. This can start to cause lots of issues in the shoes, from irritation, blisters, but it can also lead to stability issues in technical areas. I used to find myself stopping mid-run, undoing the laces, retying them to get that midfoot hold back in the shoe to stop any lateral movement. This was definitely not the case with this shoe. Even on my longest run, where I had lots of hills, lots of big steps and some technical areas to run through, when I got to the end of it, I still had the same tension across them laces as when I started the run. So very rare for that to happen to me. So a great little lace locking system on the Terraultra G270. So all in all, it's been a very good and really surprising running experience in the Terraultra G270s so far. But it's not all joyful bliss running along the trails of Cornwall. There was a couple of small things, and I think more personal things to me, that I think with a little bit of tweaking can make this really good trail running shoe even better. The first thing we're going to discuss is this very thin tongue in the shoe. It hardly carries any padding at all. This isn't a feature that I tend to look for in my running shoes. I do like a little bit of tongue padding, not overly padded, but a little bit of padding just to increase comfort, especially if you're running long miles in the shoe. This tongue does allow for a very precise fit and lockdown around that midfoot, which is great. But I did find towards the end of that longer run I did in the shoe, I was just wishing for a bit more padding in that tongue for a bit more comfort. The other thing is around this ankle collar, not a lot of padding again. I know this is just the way Inov-8 tend to make their shoes, but it's quite stiff around the ankle collar. So this might soften up over time as I bed the shoe in. I have only done 30 miles in the shoe, but especially where the eyelet is for the lace, quite stiff around that heel collar, and I did start to sort of notice that towards the end of my longer run. So I think a little bit more padding in that tongue in the right areas, maybe a little bit more padding around that ankle collar would just make the shoe a bit more comfortable over distance. We'll obviously bring you an update on all of them things when we do our 100-mile shoe review on the Terraultra G270. The last thing we're going to mention is the fact it is a zero drop running shoe. This for me isn't no big issue in my trail running shoes. I tend to run in a low offset shoe on the trails anyway. It's a pretty forgiving environment, not like the road environment, but I think that zero drop will put a few runners off, that's for sure. I also think this shoe being pitched at the sort of ultra world, if I'm running distance, say over 50 miles, I tend to like a bit of offset in my shoe. Again, not a lot, but a little bit I find really helps. As we start to break down, our form starts to go and the shuffling commences, I think that little bit of offset can be a real added bonus. Gives you that little bit of lift, takes a bit of tension off of the lower leg, and I think it helps you along the way. So I personally think, I know heel offset is such a personal thing for every runner, but for me, a little bit of offset on this shoe would have made it appeal to a wider audience. So that's a few little things that I feel for me could be improved and improve the performance of the shoe, but I've still been very impressed with how well this shoe has performed, and it is hands down the best Inov-8 shoe that I've ever run in. But let's get some points given out and let's start scoring the Terraultra G270. The first thing always to score at Run4Adventure is price, and with the shoe retailing in the UK at £145, so a very similar price point to the North Face shoe that we just reviewed, I feel it is a little bit too expensive. I'd be much happier seeing this shoe around the sort of £120, £125 price point. So because of that, we are going to score the Terraultra G270 a 6 out of 10 for price. Number 2 on the list is comfort and performance, and there's been lots of elements of this shoe that have really impressed me. From that incredible level of traction from that graphene grip technology outsole, to the level of comfort and connection you get from the midsole and that clever boomerang footbed combination, that precise lockdown you get around the midfoot from this clever lace locking system, and then this nice comfortable airy toe box. All very impressive indeed. I think the shoe would have scored even a bit higher if it was for a bit more padding in that tongue and around that heel collar, but it's still going to come in with a surprisingly impressive 8 out of 10 for comfort and performance. Last to be scored is durability, and so far so good. The shoe is looking how we'd expect a running shoe to look after only 30 miles, so no issues to speak of at all. We will definitely revisit this in our 100-mile review of the shoe, because I have heard a few negative comments when it comes to durability about this model, but so far the upper looks good, outsole looks pretty bomb-proof, so we're going to score the Terraultra G270 a solid 8 out of 10 when it comes to durability. So tallying all those points up, the shoe is going to score 22 out of 30 at Run4Adventure. As far as looks for the shoe, that super subjective topic, if you follow the channel, you'll know I'm a massive fan of brightly coloured running shoes, so I like all the colourways that the Terraultra comes in, the bright blue, the bright green and the bright orange. I mentioned in the review earlier that there's 3 colour options available, but I'm pretty sure they do the shoe in an all black colourway as well, so if you don't like bright shoes, there's an option for you there. So when it comes down to looks for the Terraultra G270, it gets a big thumbs up at Run4Adventure. When it comes down to comparisons with the Terraultra from Inov-8, obviously it being a zero drop shoe, it takes a lot of trail running shoes out of the equation, but it does have a lot of things in common with some running shoes from Altra, being their Lone Peak and also their Timp 2, both zero drop trail running shoes with good volume in the toe box. But I also think the shoe has a lot in common with shoes from Finnish brand VJ Sports. Their VJ Max is very similar in construction, and that shoe from VJ also boasts the grippiest outsole in the world. But for now guys, I think that's it, so I think it's time to wrap this review up with a quick conclusion. So if you are a big Inov-8 fan but you haven't run in this model of shoe yet, I dare say you'd really enjoy the running experience. Or if you've run in Inov-8 shoes that are a bit more aggressive in the past, say like the X Talons, and you felt like you needed a bit more cushioning, a bit more underfoot protection, then the Terraultra G270 would definitely be worth a go. But I personally think the most important thing to mention is if you've run in Inov-8 shoes in the past and they really haven't worked for you, similar to me, don't rule this shoe out. I personally think this particular shoe feels very different to the other trail running shoes in Inov-8's range. So if you're in the market for a trail running shoe that is going to offer a fantastic level of traction on all surfaces, but it's also going to provide you with a good level of cushioning to soak up the miles on trail or road, and it's going to make you feel nice and low and connected to the trails under your foot so you feel super confident while running in technical areas, then I'll definitely recommend checking out the Terraultra G270 from Inov-8. So that is a wrap on another shoe review at Run4Adventure. Really hope you enjoyed it, guys. I hope you found it helpful, and I just want to say sorry we're so late to the Terraultra G270 party, but we got there in the end. I also want to say a big thanks to you guys at home for recommending that I test and review this shoe, because I've really enjoyed the experience. With the experience being so positive, we're definitely going to be testing and reviewing more shoes from the Inov-8 brand, and I've actually heard a few rumors that there's a really exciting shoe just about to drop from the brand, so we'll definitely be getting a pair of them to test and review at the channel for you guys at home. We've left links in the description for the Terraultra G270, so if you want to find out any more information about the shoe or the brand, please feel free to do so. Also, we want you to get involved, guys. This is such a popular trail running shoe, so we want to hear your feedback. How have you found the performance and the fit of the upper? How have you found the performance of that amazing outsole? Do you wish there was a bit more padding in that tongue? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget you can follow us on our other social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook or Strava. But for now, guys, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for supporting the channel. We'll see you very soon. But as always, stay safe and keep on running.